Are we ready to finish what he started? Then at last, the Rebel Alliance is born. Here. Tonight.
We need a flag to rally behind. A symbol. A symbol of hope.
Hey everybody, it's Jason Jeffries for the Alliance Project, the Rebel Alliance, Master Jace, however you look up the channel or if you subscribe. We're going to be doing a new kind of project tonight. I'm just going to be reading from the Emerald Tablets we're going to discuss, because I think there's a lot of key information in there that we should keep going back to, no matter how many times you read it. So we'll touch on that, and I wanted to let everybody know I have a new professional email address. It's the Rebel Alliance 333@gmail.com. Please send me any photos or videos or anything you guys would like to share, or just things like that. If I start compiling enough photos, I'll just make an episode every day or a week or however often it does to get enough material, and I'll share it for a show, and we'll discuss, and it'll kind of connect and let people reach out to each other, or if anybody had similar experiences and things like that, or seen similar things, then they could, cooperate and collaborate and see where things go. But I'm going to try to put, some videos and stuff like that into the projects and stuff, so it gives you more visually dazzling things, and something to keep your eye on, a little bit, make the channel a little less boring. Any ideas, I'm open to it. So just, be a part of the channel, be a part of the community, things like that. That'd be great. But first thing we're going to do is I'm going to share screen. Go here. And we're going to read it. Yeah, here's the, it's the Rebel Alliance 333@gmail.com. It's up there at the top. I put it on the About page as well. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Preface. The history of the tablets translated in the following pages is strange and beyond belief of modern scientists. Their antiquity is stupendous, dating back some 36,000 years BC. The writer is Thoth, the Atlantean priest king, who found a colony in ancient Egypt after sinking of his mother country. He was a builder of the Great Pyramid of Giza, erroneously attributed to Cheops, and in it he incorporated his knowledge of the ancient wisdoms and also securely secreted records and instruments of ancient Atlantis. For some 16,000 years he ruled the ancient race of Egypt for approximately 52,000 BC to 36,000 BC. At that time, the ancient barbarous race among which he and his followers had settled had been raised to a high degree of civilization. Thoth was an immortal, that is, he had conquered death, passing only when he willed, even then not through death. His vast wisdom made him ruler over various Atlantean colonies, including the ones in South and Central America. When the time came for him to leave Egypt, he erected the Great Pyramid over the entrance to the great halls of Amente, placed in it his records, and appointed guards for his secrets from among the highest of his people. So that's the the Hall of Records, the Akashic Records. So probably, I think it's some kind of Hall of Records, probably most tangible, but also some kind of probably something way beyond us, like crystals or things like that, that maybe let you kind of tap into these records, you know what I mean, through maybe meditation or some kind of frequency-related technology, like the pyramids themselves. During later ages, the ego of Thoth passed into the bodies of men in the manner described in the tablets. As such, he incarnated 3 times, in the last of his beings known as Hermes, thrice born, Hermes Trismegistus. In this incarnation, he left the writings known to modern occultists as the Emerald Tablets, a later and far lesser exposition of the ancient mysteries. The tablets translated in this work, which are 10, which were left in the Great Pyramid in the custody of the pyramid priests. The 10 are divided into 13 parts for the sake of convenience. The last 2 are so great and far-reaching in their import that at present it is forbidden to release them to the world at large. However, those contain herein secrets which will prove inestimable about value for serious student. They should be read not once, but hundreds of times, for only thus can the true meaning be revealed. A casual reading will give glimpses of beauty, but more intensive study will open avenues of wisdom to the seeker. But now a word as to how these mighty secrets came to be revealed to modern man after being hidden so long. Some 1300 years BC, Egypt, the ancient kingdom, was in turmoil. Many delegations and priests were sent to other parts of the world. Among these were some of the pyramid priests who carried with them the emerald tablets as a talisman by which they could exercise authority over the less advanced priestcraft of races descended from the Atlantean colonies. The tablets were understood from legend to give their bearer authority from Thoth. A particular group of priests bearing the tablets emigrated to South America, where they found a flourishing race, the Mayas, who remembered much of the ancient wisdom. Amongst these, the priests settled and remained. In the 10th century, the Mayas had thoroughly settled in the Yucatan, and the tablets were placed beneath the altar on one of the great temples of the sun god. After the conquest of the Mayas by the Spaniards, the cities were abandoned and the treasures of the temple forgotten. It should be understood that the Great Pyramid of Egypt has been and still is a temple of initiation into the mysteries. Jesus, Solomon, Apollonius, and others were initiated there. The writer, who has a connection with the Great White Lodge, which also works through the pyramid priesthood, was instructed to recover and return to the Great Pyramid the ancient tablets. This, after adventures, which need not be detailed here, was accomplished before returning him. He was given permission to translate and retain a copy of the wisdom engraved on the tablets. This was done in 1925, and only now has permission been given for part to be published. It is expected that many will scoff, yet the true student will read between the lines and gain wisdom. If the light is in you, the light which is engraved in these tablets will respond. Now, a word as to the material aspects of the tablets. They consist of 12 tablets of emerald green, formed from a substance created through alchemical transmutation. They are imperishable, resistant to all elements and substances. In effect, the atomic cellular structure is fixed, no change ever taking place. In this respect, they violate the law of ionization. Upon them are engraved characteristics of the ancient Atlantean language. Characters which respond to attuned thought waves, releasing the associated mental vibration in the mind of the reader. The tablets are fastened together with hoops of golden-colored alloys suspended with a rod of the same material. So much for the material appearance. The wisdom contained therein is the foundation of the ancient mysteries, and for one who reads this open eyes and open mind, his wisdom shall be increased 100-fold. Read, believe or not, but read, and the vibration found therein will awake a response in your soul. In the following pages, I'll reveal some of the mysteries which as yet have only been touched upon lightly, either by myself or other teachers or students of the truth. A man's search for understanding of the laws which regulate his life has been unending. Yet just beyond the veil which shields the higher planes from material man's visions of truth has existed, ready to be assimilated by those who enlarge their vision, by turning inward, not outward, in their search. In the silence of material senses lies the key of unveiling of wisdom. He who talks does not know. He who knows does not talk. The highest knowledge is inutterable, for it exists as an entity in lanes which transcend all material words or symbols. All symbols are but keys to doors leading to truths, and many times the door is not opened because the key seems great that the things which are beyond it are not visible. If we understand that all keys, all material symbols are manifestations but extensions of a great law and truth, we'll begin to develop the vision which will enable us to penetrate beyond the veil. All things in the universe move according to law, and the law which regulates the movement of the planets is no more immutable than the law which regulates the material expressions of man. One of the great Greatest of all cosmic laws is that which is responsible for the formation of man as a material being. The great aim of the mystery schools of all ages has been to reveal the workings of the law which connect man and the material and man and the spiritual. The great aim of the mystery schools of all ages has been to reveal the workings of law which connect man to the material and the man to the spiritual. The connecting link between the material man and the spiritual man is the intellectual man, for the mind partakes in both material and immaterial qualities. The aspirant for higher knowledge must develop the intellectual side of his nature, and so strengthen his will that is able to concentrate all powers of his being on and in the plane he desires. The great search for light, life, and love only begins on the material plane. Carried to its ultimate, its final goal is complete oneness with the universal consciousness. The foundation in the materials is the first step. Then comes the higher goal of spiritual attainment. In the following pages, I'll give an interpretation of the Emerald Tablets and the secrets, hidden and esoteric meanings. Concealed in the words of Thoth are many meanings that do not appear on the surface. The list of knowledge brought to bear upon the tablets will only open new fields for thought. Read and be wise, but only if the light of your own consciousness awakens the deep-seated understanding which is the inherent quality of the soul. So thank you for anybody that's gonna listen and watch the channel and show their support, because I do it because it's I feel like this conversation can reach more people more than you add that effort that you add to a conversation with just one person that you love and care about maybe, but in today's technology we can reach many people. So it's even if I only get a few views, I feel like it's still doing something, it's still connecting somewhere, and it's a lot less futile than talking to just one person, I guess. So I appreciate everybody that's a part of the channel. The history of Thoth the Atlantean. I, Thoth the Atlantean, master of mysteries, keeper of records, mighty king and magician, living from generation to generation, being about to pass into the halls of Amente, set down for the guidance of those that are to come after. These records are a mighty wisdom of great Atlantis, in the great city of Kior, on the island of Undal. Hold on one second, I'll make sure I'm recording. Okay, I'm good. Sorry about that. In a time far past, I began this incarnation, not as the little men of the present age did, but the mighty ones of Atlantis live and die. But rather, from eon to eon did they renew their life in the halls of Amente, where the river of life flows eternally outward. 100 times 10, I have descended the dark way that led to the light, and as many times I have ascended from the darkness into the light, my strength of the power renewed. For a time I descend, and the men of Chem is alchemy in ancient Egypt, shall know me no more. But in a time yet unborn will I rise again, mighty and potent, requiring an accounting of those left behind me. Then beware, O men of Chem, if ye have falsely betrayed my teachings, for I shall cast you down from the high estate into the darkness of the caves from whence you came. Betray not my secrets to the men of the north, the men of the south, lest my curse fall upon ye. Remember and heed my words, for surely will I return again. I require of thee that which ye guard. I, even beyond the time and from beyond death will I return, rewarding or punishing as ye have requited your trust. Great were my people in the ancient days, great beyond the conception of the little men now around me, knowing the wisdom of old, seeking far within the heart of infinity, knowledge that belonged to earth's youths. Wise were we with the light of wisdom, the children of light who dwell amongst us. Strong were we with the power drawn from the eternal fire. And of all these, greatest among the children of men was my father, Thothme, keeper of the great temple, link between the children of light who dwelt within the temple and the races of men who inhabited the 10 islands. Mouthpiece, after the 3, of the dweller of Unal, speaking to the kings with the voice that must be obeyed. Grew I there from a child into manhood, being taught by my father the elder mysteries. until in time there grew within the fire of wisdom until it burst a consuming flame. Not desired I, but the attainment of wisdom, until on the great day the command came from the dweller of the temple that I brought you before him. For there were among the children of men, few there were among the children of men who had looked upon the mighty face and lived. For not as the sons of men are the children of light, when they are not incarnate in a physical body. Chosen was I from the sons of men, taught by the dweller, so that his purpose might be fulfilled. Purpose is yet unborn into the womb of time. Long ages I dwelt in the temple, learning ever and yet ever more wisdom, until I, too, approached the light emitted from the great fire. Taught me he the path to Amente, the underworld, where the great king sits upon his throne of might. Deep I bowed in homage before the lords of fire, or before the lords of life and the lords of death, receiving as my gift the key of life. Free was I from the halls of Amente, bound not by death to the circle of life. Far the stars I jarred until the space-time became as naught. Then, having drunk deep of the cup of the wisdom, I looked into the hearts of men. There I found greater mysteries, and was glad. For only in the search of truth could my soul be stilled, and the flame within be quenched. Down through the ages I lived, seeing those around me taste of the cup of death and return again in the light of life. Gradually from the kingdoms of Atlantis passed waves of consciousness that had been one with me, only to be replaced by the spawn of a lower star. In obedience to the law, the word of the master grew into a flower. Downward into the darkness turned the thoughts of the Atlanteans, until at last, in his wrath, rose from his aguante, the dweller. This word has no English equivalent, and it means a state of detachment. Speaking the word, calling the power. Deep in the earth's heart, the sons of Amente heard, all hearing, directing and changing the flower of fire that burns eternally, changing and shifting, using the logos, until the great fire changed its direction. All right, so what this is talking about is a pole shift. The great fire. They're talking about the energy, almost like a unified field. You got your magnetic, your electromagnetic, the pulse of the earth, the heart of the earth, the core of its energy, gravity, everything, shifting its poles. Over the world then broke the great waters, drowning and sinking and changing Earth's balance, until only the temple of light was left, standing on the great mountain of Undal, still rising out of the water. Some there were who were living, save from the rush of the fountains. Called me then the master, saying, "Gather ye together my people, take them by the arts ye have learned far across the waters, until ye reach the land of hairy barbarians, dwelling in caves of the desert. Follow their plan that ye know of." Gathered I then my people, entered the great ship of the master. Upward we rose into the morning. Dark beneath us lay the temple. Suddenly over it rose the waters, vanished from earth until the time appointed was the great temple. Fast we fled toward the sun of the morning, until beneath us lay the children of Chem. Raging they came with cudgels and spears, lifted in anger, seeking to slay and utterly destroy the sons of Atlantis. Then I raised my staff and directed a ray of vibration, striking them still in their tracks as fragments of stone of the mountain. Then I spoke to them in words calm and peaceful, telling them of the might of Atlantis, saying we were children of the sun and its messengers. Cowed I them by my display of magic science, until at the feet they groveled when I released them. Long dwelt we in the land of Chem, long yet long again, until obeying the commands of the master, who while sleeping yet lives eternally. I sent from the sons of Atlantis, sent them in many directions, that from the womb of time wisdom might rise again in her children. So it's saying what he meant when like the burning consciousness was replaced with a dimmer star. It means like the consciousness level of the people just started declining, and it became almost barbaric in most of the world. So he wanted to bring the teachings of Atlantis to these people around the world that weren't enlightened. And this right here is kind of key to how we have stepstone evolution, how pieces of history don't seem to fit into place. Long time dwelt I in the land of Chem, doing great works by the wisdom within me. Upward grew into the light of knowledge, the children of Chem, watered by the rains of my wisdom. Blasted I then a path to Amente, so that I may retain my powers, living from age to age, a son of Atlantis, keeping the wisdom, preserving the records. So he's talking about a place underneath Egypt, or maybe just in the center of the earth, where you could go and be closer to the earth's energy and renew your cells and conscious level, things like that, and then essentially keep your vessel, your body, like a fountain of youth almost. Great grew the sons of Chem, conquering the people around them, growing slowly upwards in soul force. Now for a time I go from among them into the dark halls of Amente, deep in the halls of the earth, before the lords of the powers, face to face once again with the dweller. Rise thou high over the entrance, a doorway, a gateway leading down to Amente. Few there would go, be there with courage to dare it. Few pass to the portal of dark Amente. Raised over the passage, I, a mighty pyramid, using the power that overcomes earth force, gravity. Deep and yet deeper, place I a force house, or chamber, from it carved a circular passage, reaching almost to the great summit. There in the apex set I a crystal, sending the ray into the space-time, drawing the force from out of the ether, concentrating upon the gateway to Amente. Other chambers I built and left vacant, to all seeming, yet hidden within them are keys to Amente. He who encouraged would dare the dark realms, lift him be purified first by long fasting. Lie in a sarcophagus of stone in my chamber, then reveal I to him the great mysteries. Soon shall he follow to where I should meet him. Even in the darkness of earth shall I meet him. I, Thoth, Lord of wisdom, meet him and hold him, dwell with him always. So I'm going to pause it right there for a sec. Okay.
This is a really... Hi guys, in this video today I'm going to talk about intermittent fasting. This is a really hot button topic, and when I talk to other people about it, I seem to get really strong reactions like, oh my god, I can't fast, I can't go 6 hours without eating. And it makes sense. Every commercial out there, we have been conditioned and programmed. I remember my mom would not let me leave the house without having breakfast. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, Kevin. And it's not her fault, it's not our fault. And if you think about the food industry is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Pharmaceutical industry is even more than that. You're talking trillions and trillions of dollars. Well, there's billions spent on advertising, and they make money when we eat. So then all these studies show that you should eat 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times a day. Stuff your mouth. Keep on stuffing it. It's good for you. Trust us. No, read this article, guys, and it's a bit thick of an article, and that's why I'm doing the video, because there's some really good points in here that I don't want you to miss. And intermittent fasting, what it is meaning that you need to go a minimum of 16 hours without eating anything. Drink as much as you want, but no food. And everyone's like, 16 hours, oh my goodness, but do the math. If you have supper at 5 o'clock at night, to 6, so you finish eating at 6 o'clock at night. Well, 6 o'clock the next morning is 12 hours. Another 4 hours on top of that. 10 o'clock in the morning, you're to 16 hours. By lunchtime, by noon, you're at 18 hours. Boom, done. Have supper, skip breakfast. There's your intermittent fasting. And the reason, and if you say you can't do it, bullshit. It's just something, a figment of your imagination. If you want to believe that story, that's cool. I'm just sharing some really cool information because this is really powerful, guys. The biggest thing, there's a lot in this article, but the biggest thing I want to talk about is when you go 16 hours without eating, your body goes into starvation mode. And again, my mother always told me this, don't let your body go into starvation mode, but it's the best thing we can do on a weekly basis is put our bodies into starvation mode. And why? The main reason why is because it kills off old cells. As soon as it goes, 14 hours, 16 hours, 18 hours, your body needs to conserve energy, because we biologically are created to go long periods of time without food. Think back, 1,000 years, a couple thousand years, food wasn't like it is today. So it was very typical for, human beings to go a day, 2, 3 days without food until their next catch. So when your body goes that long, it can automatically conserves energy. How it conserves energy, the first thing, what it does, it kills off old, underperforming cells. So your old cells, your shitty cells, the ones that aren't working very good, your body gets rid of because they're just taking up energy. Then the magical part is, and not so magical, that after the 16, 18, 20 hours, when you eat, the first thing it does is creates brand new cells in that place. So essentially, you're killing off all the crappy cells in your body and replacing them with brand new ones. If you're constantly eating, this doesn't happen. Beyond that, I'm just looking at my sheet here because there's a lot of great information, but it also helps your brain form more synapses. When you go hungry, it helps your brain get stronger and better. It also helps your vital organs with stem cells and help them regentrify themselves, and ultimately makes your organs stronger. It's great for chronic disease. So that's probably hitting you with enough information here. I just wanted to let you know that this intermittent fasting, going that 16, 18 hours.
So, because basically our diets and things like that affect our pineal gland, and the pineal gland controls serotonin, DMT, dopamine, things like that help connect our body to higher consciousness and things like that. And they control the food supply, they control everything. They control the money, so they control the country. And then when they control our pineal gland, then they basically control our perception of reality. And that's not even basically, that's essentially, they control the perception of reality. They can keep us in this lower survivalistic state. With fasting, what it does is also your body creates chemicals like serotonin, dopamine, and DMT, which is found in natural plants and everything, and it helps connect you to higher spirituality. That's why a lot of religions and things like that, the mystery teachings told them to fast before they did like prayers and things like that, to try to connect with their higher consciousness. So just wanted to share a little fun fact about that. Going to be doing stuff like that through this reading, so it might take us a couple shows just so I don't lose any views or they don't taper off, things like that. But I figure if somebody's essentially really interested in this, they'll probably watch, and I don't know what else to say. So and there's actually been a few leading researchers that lay down in the sarcophagus, and Dan Winters is one of them, and they received almost like messages, and they're loaded with wisdom. So it's kind of cool to see people test this theory and reach higher levels of consciousness and share secrets of the universe with us through their books and readings and videos. Builded I the Great Pyramid, pattern after the Pyramid of Earth Force. So it's saying the geometric angles also have to do with the arcane angles of energy and gravity and earth force, burning eternally so that it too might remain through the ages. In it I builded my knowledge of magic science, so that I might be here when again I return from Amente. So it may be there, is what it should say. I, when I sleep in the halls of Amente, my soul roaming free will incarnate, dwell among men in the form or another, Hermes thrice born. It's saying he can reincarnate into the bodies of other men. Emissary of earth am I, the dweller, fulfilling his commands so many might be lifted. Now return I to the halls of Amente, leaving behind me some of my wisdom. Preserve ye and keep ye the commander of the dweller. Lift ever upwards your eyes towards the light. Surely in time you are one with the master. Surely by right you are one with the master. Surely by right yet you are one with the all. Now I depart from me. Now my commandment, know my commandments, keep them and be them. And I will be with you, helping and guiding you into the light. Now before me opens the portal. Go I down into the darkness of night. The halls of Amente. Deep in the Earth's heart lies the halls of Amente, far beneath the islands of sunken Atlantis. Halls of the dead and halls of the living, bathed in the fire of the infinite all. Now, if you guys read the Kabbalion with me or watched that video, if you didn't, we'll go back and read that. It shows the workings of Hermes, and you can see how they parallel like this information 100%. Far in the past time, lost in the space-time, the children of light looked down on the world, seeing the children of men in their bondage, bound by the force that came from beyond. Knew they not only by freedom from bondage could men ever rise from the earth to the sun. Down they descend in created bodies, taking the resemblance of men on their own. The masters of everything said from the forming, we are they who were formed from the space dust, partaking of life from the infinite all, living in the world as children of men, like and yet unlike the children of men. Then for a dwelling place far beneath the earth crust, blasted great spaces by their power, spaces apart from the children of men, surrounded them by forces and power, shielded from harm from the halls of the dead. Side by side then placed they other spaces, filled them with life and light from above, builded them the halls of Amente, and that they have dwelled eternally there, living with life to eternity's end. 32 were there of the children, sons of light, who had come among men, seeking to free the bondage of darkness, those who were bounded by the force from beyond. Okay, so when in 2012 they released a chamber of the pyramid Giza, which had 32 sarcophaguses in them. They were huge. They said they put cattle in them. But this, I'm just going to go ahead and prove that this is like a real thing. Okay, guys, so here you go. Some more evidence to add to the legitimacy of these. These were open to the public in 2012. We found these way before that, so you can't say it's based off of things that we knew already. You know what I'm saying? It was in reverse chronological order, so there's no way that somebody was placing mysteries in a certain order that we knew about and kind of adding them all together, tying them together for a story. It's not fanciful. This is real evidence legitifying what people say, what Thoth says in the tablets.
Okay, we've just walked below ground, and now this is the entrance to the Serapeum, which is where there are more than 20 boxes. Boxes are made of hard stone. Each one weighs more than 50 tons, and that's being very conservative. So as you can see, it's hewn. This area is hewn out of the bedrock. Big. So you see the lid of this one, and you see the box itself. They were found inside of these niches just like this. So the main Egyptological theory is that they were the burial places of sacred Apis bulls. But they're more beyond the door. But what's intriguing is the interior of the box, because the precision is supposedly very 21st century, or at least 20th century. Look at the scale of this. So again, this is one solid block of Rose Aswan granite, Conservative estimate 50 tons. The stone itself would have had to have come from Aswan itself, which is 500 miles away. So this is inside the Serapeum. Christopher Dunn, who has written a section of his second book about this site, states that the interior surface of this is within a few 10,000ths of an inch in terms of being perfectly flat.
Use dynamites. August Mariette used dynamites to make this.
You get this, guys? Now flatten. Now, try it.
So we weren't able to film that very well because of the distance. Only Chris and two others were allowed in. But actually it's amazingly cool in here too. It's not like inside the pyramids, which are hot. But what Chris was able to show is that the flat surface of the interior of that massive box, combined weight of the box and the lid, at least 60, 70 tons, is that the flatness of the internal surface is within thousandths of an inch of being perfectly flat, and also that the corners are 90 degrees, not 89, not 91, but he has a precision square that
So that's 20 times thinner than a human hair in accuracy.
he uses in the manufacturing industry. That's what he used, and he found that the corners were exactly-ish. So this is the thing is, all of these boxes, there are at least 22 of them in here. Again, combined weight, probably at least 60 tons combined weight, if not 80 or more tons. The lid by itself is more than 10 tons, but we see that... Sorry?
The box is 70 tons and the lid is 30 tons.
Okay, Stephen Mailer says the box itself is 70 tons, the lid is 30 tons. But what we're seeing is we're seeing them in different states of completion. Some of them are very rough. That one is quite glossy smooth, but the ultimate one is supposedly right down here at the end.
And we can go down and see it close.
And we can go down and see close, which is what we want. Whoa. Oh, here we go.
Here you get the great example of what you want to show that these markings couldn't possibly be original. Oh, couldn't possibly be original.
No, those are very rough.
And here's the proof that Yusuf just showed. An empty cartouche. Meaning this was not prepared for anybody. They left it open. Somebody could pay them enough money to have their title put in there.
Right.
So this is obviously not made for somebody. The markings put in much, much later.
Right.
And this is one where Chris goes inside and measures the tolerances to 2 10,000ths of an inch. You just feel the surface, flat, perfectly flat. In basalt.
Yeah.
And look at this perfect right angle cut. Perfect all the way down. All 4 sides.
This is more like it. This is great.
This is the ultimate smoking gun. This cannot be explained by their conventional methods. And at least when they opened this tomb, this area, in December 2012, the head of archaeology
December 2012. Remember that.
of ancient Egypt said to CNN, to MSNBC, to Al Jazeera, we don't know how this was done. And that's honest. We appreciate that, his honesty, because Egyptology cannot explain this to any degree.
Well, the idea that it was made for bowls, no matter how special they were, is just ridiculous.
It's a lot of
It's
bowl.
bowl. So this box in particular is amazing because I got to look inside. And the outside, or the inside, is as smooth as the outside. To the hand, it's flat, as in flat as a glass tabletop. And how could that have possibly been achieved when it is at least 6 feet tall, it is at least 10 feet long, and at least 6 feet wide, and at least 15 inches thick, and the lid is solid and weighs much more than 10 tons. How could they have moved that block of stone from the quarry at Aswan? How could they have shaped it? How could they have brought it down into its niche? And again, there are at least 22 of them here. There are supposedly other chambers beyond in that direction, possibly vertically down as well. What was the function of these incredible stone boxes?
So, just more evidence that points to what they're saying. Deep in the halls of life grew a flower, flaming, expanding, driving back the night. Placed in the center, a ray of great potence, life-giving, light-giving, filling the power of all who came near it. Placed there around it thrones, 2 and 30, 32. Places for each of the children of light. Placed so that they were bathed in the radiance, filled with the life from the eternal light. Their time after time placed their first created bodies, so that they might be filled with the spirit of life. 100 years out of each of the 1,000 must the life-giving light flame forth their bodies, quickening, awakening the spirit of life. There in the circle from eon to eon sit the great masters, living a life not known among men. There in the halls of Amente lie they sleeping, free flows their soul through the bodies of men. Time after time, while their bodies lie sleeping, incarnate they in the bodies of men, teaching and guiding onward and upward out of the darkness into the light. There in the hall of life filled their wisdom. No, not to the races of man, living forever neath the cold fire of life, sit the children of light. Times there are when they awaken, come from the depths to be light among men, infinite they among finite men. He who progresses grown from the darkness, lifted himself from the night into the light. Free is made from the halls of Mende, free of the flower of life and of light. Guided then by wisdom and knowledge, passes from men the master of life. There he may dwell as one of the masters, free from the bonds of the darkness of night, seated within the flower of radiance, and 7 lords from the space-time above us, helping and guiding us through infinite wisdom. The pathway through which time the children of men, mighty and strange they, veiled there with power, silent all knowing, drawing the life force, different yet one with the children of men, different yet one with the children of light. So these all have ties to a specific chakra in our body. Custodians and watchers of the forces of man's bondage, ready to loose when the light has been reached. First and most mighty sits the veiled presence, Lord of the infinite nine. Over and over from each of the Lord's cycles, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Each with his mission, each with his powers, guiding, directing the destiny of man. There they sit, mighty and potent, free from all time and space. Not of this world they, yet akin to it. Elder brothers they are the children of men, judging and weighing they from their wisdom, watching the progress of light among men. There before him was I led by the dweller, watched him blend with the one from above. Then he came forth a voice saying, Great art thou, Thoth, children of men among men, free henceforth of the halls of Amente, master of light among children of men. Taste not of death except as thou will it. Drink thou of life's eternity end. Henceforth forever is life. Thine is for the taking. Henceforth is death at the call of thy hand. Dwell here or leave when thou desireth. Free is Amente to the son of a man. Take thou up life in what form thou desirest, children of light that is grown among men. Choose thou thy work, for all must labor, never be free from the pathway of light. One step thou hast gained on the long pathway upward, infinite now on the mountain of light. Each step thou taketh but heightens the mountain, all of thy progress but lengthens the goal. Preach ye yet ever the infinite wisdom, ever before thee recedes the goal. Free are ye made now of the halls of Amente, to walk on hand in hand with the lords of the world. One in one purpose, working together, bringing light to the children of men. Then from his throne came one of the masters, taking my hand and leading me upward. And through all the halls of the deep hidden land, led me through the halls of Amente, showing the mysteries that are not known to man. Through the dark passage, downward he led me, into the halls where sight the dark death. Vast as space lay the great hall before me, walled by darkness, but yet filled with light. Before me arose a great throne of darkness, veiled on it sat a figure of night. Darker than darkness sat the great figure, dark with the darkness not of the light. Before it then paused the master speaking. The word that brings about life, saying, O master of darkness, guide of the way from the life unto life, before I thee bring a son of the morning. Touch him not ever with the power of night. Call not his flame to the darkness of night. Know him and see him, one of our brothers, lifted from darkness into the light. Release thou his flame from its bondage. Free let it flame through the darkness of night. Sounds like he's talking to death. Like, everything has a purpose, right? And like, the idea of it would be that it's not evil. It was just something that helps keep the balance. And he's saying that Thoth has gained the privilege of retaining his consciousness after death. Raised then the hand of the figure, forth came a flame that grew clear and bright. Rolled back swiftly the curtain of darkness, unveiled from the hall, from the darkness of night. Then grew in the great space before me, flame after flame, from the veil of the night. Uncounted millions leaped they before me, some flaming forth as flowers of fire. Others there were that shed a dim radiance, flowing but faintly from out of the night. So picture little sparks and big flames and things like that. Some of them that faded swiftly, others grew from a small spark of light, each surrounded by its own dim veil of darkness, yet flaming with light that could be never be quenched. Coming and going like fireflies in springtime, filled they the space with light and of life. Then spoke a voice, mighty and solemn, saying, These are the lights of the souls of young men, growing and fading, existing forever, changing yet living through death into life. When they have bloomed into a flower, reached the zenith of growth in their life, swiftly then I send my veil of darkness, shrouding and changing to new forms of life, steadily upward throughout the ages, growing, expanding into yet another flame, lighting the darkness with yet greater power, quenched yet but unquenched by the veil of night. So grows the soul of man ever upward, quenched yet unquenched by the darkness of night. I, death, come, and yet I remain not, for life eternal exists in the all, only an obstacle, and I in the pathway, quick to be conquered in the infinite light. Awaken, O flame that burns ever inward, flame forth and conquer the veil of the night. There in the midst of the flames and the darkness grew there one that drove from the night, flaming, expanding, ever brighter, until at the last there was nothing but light. Then spoke my guide, the voice of the master, See your own souls as it grows in the light, free now forever from the Lord of the night. Forward he led me through many great spaces, filled with the mysteries of the children of light, mysteries that man may never yet know until he, too, is a son of the light. And they spell it son. So they mean like a bright ball of light, a great soul. Backward then he led me into the light of the halls of Amente. Knelt I then before the great masters, lords of the all from the cycles above. Spoke he then the words of the great power, saying, Thou hast been made free of the halls of Amente. Choose thou thy work of children of men. Then spoke I, O great master, let me be a teacher of men, leading them onward and upward until they, too, are lights among men, freed from the veil of the night that surrounds them, flaming with light that shall shine among men. Spoke to me then the voice, Go as yet will. So be it decreed. Master ye are of your destiny, free to take or reject at will. Take ye the power and take ye the wisdom. Shine as light among children of men. Upward then led the dweller. Dwelt I again among children of men, teaching and showing some of my wisdom. Son of the light, fire of men. Now again I tread the path downward, seeking the light in the darkness of night. Hold ye and keep ye, preserve my record. God shall it be to the children of men. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it here so you guys can watch part 2. That way we can kind of put subjects in there and things like that. And I'll go ahead and just keep going and try to knock this all out today and see if we can get them all uploaded. So that was part 1.